There's the perception in some parts of the industry that influencers of color, black influencers, are not of the same standard of quality as their white counterparts.
We're okay, yeah. Pay you feel goes away, yeah.
You've seen them. Influencers who make money or get freebies by promoting brands on social media.
Hello, so it is the start of another vlog.
Black influencers have told us they're being paid less than white influencers. Paid less by brands for doing pretty much the same thing, promoting stuff like travel, fitness, beauty and fashion on Instagram and other social media platforms.
Facebook and Instagram, you can follow me on there.
Today, I'm going to get into this influencer pay gap problem. Plus, we're going to chat about some of the potential solutions too. It feels like I've got a lot to learn. I'm Linda Adey. This is The Next Episode. In a mo, I'm going to head down the road and grab a coffee with 3 black influencers. We're going to talk about their own experiences of this pay gap. And actually, the Next Episode team have chatted to 10 black influencers this week. When I heard about Yolanda, I almost didn't believe it.
So there is a brand that consistently reaches out to us to do campaigns and to go on press trips with them.
Yolanda is part of an award-winning travel Insta page, Hey Dip Your Toes In. She's had her own experiences of being paid less than white influencers.
They wanted blog posts, they wanted photos, they wanted video, they wanted social media posts, and then they also wanted 9 months later more social media amplification across all platforms. I had said, we have to have budget for that. And I said, well, we don't have budget, but what you'll get out of it is a really great press trip. Okay, but we're taking off 4 days to attend this and we're taking off work. So I approached a few friends that I believed who had worked with them before. These creators happened to be white and they all said, oh no, we got paid. And our platforms were all very similar at that particular time period. So I came back to the brand and I said, we have to have budget. And they said, well, sorry, maybe in the future, if anything changes, we'll let you know. Well, the brand continued to reach out to us and each time they never had budget. And each time I checked with someone, they always did have budget for someone else. But unfortunately, they just didn't have budget for maybe people who looked like us.
When we first started looking into this last week, people were pretty slow to come forward with stories and not many people wanted to say how much money they were earning. And obviously working with brands is how influencers make their money, so they don't want to cut off potential opportunities. But after we got a few DMs back, we knew we were probably onto something. And as a black woman, this feels like a conversation that needs to happen. None of the influencers we've spoken to have called out any specific brands on today's podcast, but we've messaged more than 20 big fashion and beauty brands asking them how they decide what to pay influencers, and no one wanted to talk to me. A load of influencers think there's a lot to talk about. Here's a few WhatsApp voice notes. Adebola and Debbie from Black Travel Creators, Jess D of lookwhatigot.org.uk, and first Brini. She's got 280,000 subscribers on YouTube.
No shield to stop from what you're doing to me, babe.
I have seen influencers that have more than a white influencer, but the white influencer gets the trips, the brand trips. She gets the big brand deals. So I definitely don't think it's a matter of numbers. I definitely think that it's a race thing.
You always see it, a one token sort of black person who's going to every sort of press trip, every event, and who's like kind of seem to sort of be ticking the box for the diversity issue.
I have a friend of mine who was told no to a campaign because they said that she wasn't the right type of influencer, even though she had way more like following than the people that they usually work with. But because she was black, we believe, because all the influencers on their page were white, she wasn't picked, and I don't think that's right.
So I'm just heading in to chat to 3 black influencers. They're all doing really well. Stephanie Yeboah has won awards for plus-size style blogging. Over 38,000 people follow her on Instagram.
I am a plus-size blogger and YouTuber.
Christabel Plummer is a lifestyle blogger. She's got 23,000 followers on Insta.
Hello, welcome to my channel.
And Jacqueline Ilamoka, she's a blogger and fashion model. She's got over 16,000 Insta followers.
No one is you, and that is your power.
These girls have all been working with different brands, and they all say they've been paid less than white influencers. Let's see what's up. So have you got examples where you've seen or heard of a black influencer being paid much less than a white influencer?
Recently, I had an experience with a fast fashion brand, really, really well known. Everyone knows about them, big on Instagram. And they got in contact with me and said they liked my video content and they wanted me to receive some clothing to create some great videos. I was like, yeah, great. So what's your budget? And then they were like, we've allocated all the budget for the year. Can't pay, we're so sorry. But we kind of went back and forth with it, and then they decided that they can only gift me. So I accepted the gifting, created the videos, and then spoke to a white influencer, actually quite maybe a few weeks ago, about it, and I saw she'd create some video content, and I said, oh, that was great. She was like, yeah, can you believe they paid me X amount? And me and this person have a similar following. I think I even probably have a bit more than her. So I was just quite confused.
In your case, with that specific job, how much more was the other influencer being paid?
At least 800 more.
Are we surprised by that? I don't know, because I definitely am.
I'm not really surprised, because I've heard in instances where people have been speaking about, such and such blogger getting paid a lot more than them. And in my personal experience, I remember being asked to do some Instagram content, like a takeover content for London Fashion Week for a fashion brand, and it was myself and a few other influencers, a mixture of black and white. And after the job was complete, we were just having like the regular sort of chats and how it went and all of that stuff. And I was informed that myself and a few of the other bloggers were given sort of the minimal amount, sort of in the early sort of couple hundreds of pounds. And then we were told that the white influencers were actually getting paid in sort of like the £2,000-3,000 range.
Christabel, are black influencers of less value than white influencers?
Definitely not. I mean, I think we are challenging a standard of beauty.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of us are inspiring other women in so many different ways, whether it's to travel or wear a certain hairstyle or wear a certain colour as well. We've grown up, we've internalized so much, and I think there's a chance to make so much impact, and that's not often recognized, and it can be really hard. Like, if you're not being paid for campaigns, you can't grow. Like, you may have to do another, your full-time job.
It's really, really dangerous, and I think especially with a lot of fashion and beauty influencers that I speak to who are now assuming it's because of the way they look, because of their features. Do they need to now do plastic surgery? And it starts kind of spiraling downwards. You've
spoken to influencers that are considering
100%, where people think, oh, is it because my nose is too big?
One of the things is that black women in the UK and the US, we spend the most on hair and beauty products. Yeah. And that's a fact. Like, there are so many statistics to back them up, that we are the most loyal, but we're the most underused. And the reason that a lot of the time we're loyal is because brands don't make makeup for us a lot of the time. So when we do find a makeup or a skin product or a hair product for our skin, we will stay with that brand till the end of time.
I'll speak to the girls again in a bit, mostly about what they and others can do to sort out this problem. But right now, I'm in the studio. I'm going to chat to Scholar Dondo.
When I do go on press trips, I usually am one of the only black creators there, if not the only black creator there.
Scholar is a fitness influencer working with loads of different brands. She's got over 230,000 subscribers on YouTube and 42,000 followers on Instagram. Last week, there was some fuss around a picture of an ASOS press trip that was posted on social media. All 13 people in the picture were white, and ASOS didn't want to chat to us about this on the podcast, but they told us that they try to ensure their content and marketing is diverse, inclusive, and representative of their customers. This whole thing isn't just about not being paid enough, it's also about black influencers being left out, not being invited to brand events.
One of the issues is the people who are doing the inviting to these events, to these press trips, are white themselves. So it might be one of those things where they're inviting the influencers they watch and follow because maybe they can relate to them.
Can you kind of set the scene for me a bit? So what your experience is like being the only black influencer at an event or on a trip?
So I usually don't know who's going to be there beforehand. Like, sometimes they might say, oh, here are the other people, but you only really know that after you've confirmed to go. There have been good experiences, but there's also quite a few bad ones where you'll turn up and be like, oh.
How does that make you feel? Some people might call that tokenism, that you are the token black girl for a lot of these brands. Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
At first, tokenism did make me feel really uncomfortable. But I think before it becomes a natural, like, oh, let's just make it diverse, it has to be that thing that feels forced at first, I think. For a lot of like white creators, they might not even think like these problems exist. But now I'm noticing there are little changes, like I'll get invited to different things and be more included in certain things without it feeling forced. Like it's just like, oh yeah, like this is just how it should be sort of thing.
Okay, so I think it's pretty clear that a lot of black influencers feel they're being undervalued in comparison to white influencers. But what about the people that match up influencers with brands? Rona Mida is the managing director of PMYB, and they reckon they're the best in the world at what they do, analysing influencers on 46 different criteria before pairing them up with brands.
If the brands don't go with a wide range of diverse influencers, it's not necessarily because they want to exclude a particular race, gender, or sexual orientation. It's because they feel that their brand is represented better, or they're maybe reaching their target market more effectively by the other selected influencers. And I think it's really important to note that as this industry matures, there will be increasing amounts of data where we can determine whether there is an unconscious bias, perhaps.
Rona told me that every influencer PMYB work with gets paid fairly, no matter what their race is. But as we heard from the girls earlier, some black influencers feel this isn't the case with certain brands. So what can be done about it? Breenie Lee has almost 280,000 followers on Insta. She's got some ideas about how to solve this racial pay gap.
And I think the solution for it is definitely black influencers to group together and to also support one another. In 2019, what's really going to work for us is if we actually unite and come together and realize that we are making a difference and that we do have a big audience and we are profitable, we can make the brand money. And I think that is the biggest issue, is that we are making the brand so much money, but they're not respecting us back.
Cheers, Breenie. I want to just chat to Stephanie, Christabel and Jacqueline about solutions too. These influencers are passionate about finding a solution. First up, Jacqueline.
I 100% think if you feel like a brand is not treating you with the respect that you need, I feel like we should boycott the brands. And I think even starting from people that are just getting into the industry, smaller influencers, smaller models, all these sorts of things, I feel like if you know that what is happening to you right now is not, it's not fair. I don't think we should work with them, because it's like, why? We shouldn't shop with them. We shouldn't work with them. But I also feel like we should start demanding what we need. So if it's the pay, if it's representation, I 100% think create our own content, create our own press trips. We shouldn't wait. I know a lot of black influencers who have started their own kind of travel companies and travel agencies where they can take black influencers away, black influencer agencies, things like this, where we can, we can contact the brands ourselves, we can organise these things ourselves, because we shouldn't wait.
Not calling them out in like a harsh way, but just say, do you have a guest list of the people that are coming?
Can I see the guest list?
Can I see the guest list?
Yeah.
Are you planning on taking any bloggers of colour, any black bloggers, and just kind of see what they say, so at least it's on their minds that people are more and more influencers are beginning to ask. I think it's important for all influencers, especially black influencers, to have rate cards and to always ask for what the budget of the brand is.
Is there anything in white influencers speaking up about some of these issues?
Yes. I think that the onus shouldn't be on us to do the work, because we didn't create the problem. Yeah. So I think if you have privilege, whether it's white privilege or any other kind of privilege, you should use your voice. Yeah. Share creators of colour. You can highlight others, because there are so many who've gotten opportunities because they've been recommended or shared on Instagram. Some brands won't necessarily listen to me. I've been tweeting a brand about not having makeup shades, and the minute a white influencer shared it, they replied to me.
Oh, wow.
So it's happened repeatedly. I remember, and white people do have power and they need to use it.
We contacted several high-profile white influencers to see if they wanted to chat to us about this issue, but none of them got back to us. Thanks to all the guys involved in today's episode. I really think this is something we're going to come back to. If you want to chat to me and the team about some of this stuff, we're on email, thenextepisode@bbc.co.uk. And hey, if nothing else, let us know what you're thinking about the music on the pod. It's all from BBC Music Introducing.
No shield to stop from what you're doing to me, babe. Nothing even matters if I got you with me, babe. Blissful love, I'm vulnerable. Only one who makes me feel this way. Since you left your mark on me without a bruise. The thrill of having so much to lose. I'm foolish, so foolish, but I can't get enough. Small world of me, baby, I will be your only company. Yeah. Small world of me, baby, I will be your only company now. Who cares if we move too fast? It's more to do when the chaser is you. Came from out of the blue. Making love as the sun sets. I'm in ecstasy when you're next to me. I let your love cover me. Left your mark without a bruise. The thrill of having so much to lose. I feel at home when I'm with you. I want your unprotected love. Give me all your unprotected love. I'm foolish, so foolish, but I can't get enough. Small world of me, baby, I will be your only company. Yeah. Small world of me, baby, I will be your only company now. Small world of me, baby, I will be your only company.